listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back and you've joined us before. We are so happy to have you. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I am your show host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. This show is not about an interview. It's all about presentations from a team of people I have hand selected. They are experts in their field. They are at the top of their game, and we are all learning something from them every week. We have 5 shows and usually 2 presenters for each show. Let's bring out our experts for today. Welcome from London, Daphne Diluce. Nice to see you.
Hi everyone. So lovely to see you, Jacalyn.
So great to have you here. And also welcome from Texas, Red O'Loughlin. Hi, Red.
Howdy.
I want everyone to know that these 2 people here on the stage with me are very near and dear to me because they have helped me, are helping me, are going to continue to help me with marketing, branding, writing, publishing. It's just phenomenal. So I highly recommend that you reach out to both of these people. They're going to do a little introduction, and then Daphne is going to do her presentation. We'll then go to a commercial break. We'll come back, have some conversation, and then Red will go, and then Daphne and I will have conversation about his presentation. So, Daphne, let me spotlight you, and do tell us all about what you're doing at Brand Clever.
Well, Brand Clever is a really exciting place. So what it does, it unlocks people's potential, businesses, transformation live. Because when you go out into the world, you've got to be ready so people can recognize you, so they can go, hey, that is amazing. I want some of that. And I create that magic. My background is I'm design and brand expert. I've worked all over the world, done incredible things. If you want to know more, talk to me and I'll tell you. But now I spend a lot of time actually making brands very successful. And I actually create one of the big brands is actually my partner, Stephen Gillen. And we've just hit 1 million views on YouTube. But we've only had designed a channel less than 6 months ago. So it works. It's magical stuff. But it's all about you. It's all about how wonderful you are. And I'm really looking forward to present to you today.
Congratulations on the number of YouTube subscribers. That's amazing. And also you have a ton of views.
No, that is, 1 million views, which is amazing. It's very, very interesting, but it's a complex journey. But anyway, we have the secret. We can help. The thing is, it's exciting times, and we're so lucky that we do actually have this technology. We're so lucky we have electricity and computers and that we can communicate with each other all over the world, Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yes, it is amazing. And speaking of amazing, we have Mr. Red O'Loughlin. Please do tell us about you and the value you're bringing to this world.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacalyn. I ask people a lot of time, remember your first love. My first love was chemistry. However, I didn't get a chance to practice it because I got an invitation to Vietnam. However, nowadays I have 6 Saturdays and a Sunday every week, and I do the things I enjoy doing. And one of those is researching the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. One of the areas that I have a niche interest in is longevity, and I'm going to be talking about that today, give you insights into how do we actually grow older. And then my specific topic today is talking about 5 supplements that are going to help you actually achieve that goal. We all would like to live a nice, long, healthy life, but we don't want to have somebody changing our diaper for the last 5 or 10 years of our life. We want to have a good quality of life. And when I'm doing my research, I'm looking for these things. I try to share that value. So I think today will be number 800 articles I posted on LinkedIn. I haven't missed a day in posting to LinkedIn, Facebook, and website. I think about 550 days in a row. So I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of speaking, same topic. And I publish books. I'm an independent publisher, and that's how I ended up working with Dr. Jacalyn and getting her book written and published.
In record time, we might say. Right?
Yes, it was a very, very quick transition from just a thought process of, I think I want to write a book, what's it going to be about, to being #1 best-selling author on Amazon.
3 months, I think. So thank you so much for everything you did to make that happen. We have a comment from Amar Raja. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. That's fantastic. Okay. Daphne, how do you feel? Are you ready to go?
Always ready, born ready.
All right. I am going to take Red and I backstage, and just let me know when you need your slides.
Okay, if you could start off with the first slide, thank you.
Absolutely.
And then,
okay.
And then I'll just ask you for the slides, and then you can hear me, right?
Okay, wonderful. Red, you and I are going backstage, and Daphne, we'll see you soon.
Well, hello, everybody. So today I'm going to be presenting the lesson, Value Your Value. And what I'm going to be covering today is, are you undervalued? And do you understand your value? And can the right people see your value? And, you know, we've got these cute little men here holding up pieces of the jigsaw. And that's the thing in life. We all hold a piece of the jigsaw to make something wonderful in life. But sometimes it's not so clear what our part is and what jigsaw piece belongs to us. And how we are actually going to be seen, how are we going to be paid, how are we going to be loved, and how is life going to work for us? Right, so if we just take that slide down for a minute. Okay, so the next slide I just want to talk to you about first. So if I can have my second slide out. Now, I'm going to, this is kind of hitting right at it. And when we talk about value, it's a very, very deep topic. And a lot of people who don't feel valued or have experiences where they feel they've been undervalued, or where they actually have been undervalued, get these these emotions. So I just want you to really look at these slides. And if anyone's listening on the radio, the slides are a collage of emotions. You know, people looking very sad, looking desperate, vacant, wondering, in pain, crying. And these are the things that humans actually are feeling when they're not valued. And it can be very, very painful and very, very lonely. And the thing is, a lot of people actually don't talk about this. You know, they feel lonely inside. They feel disconnected. And also, especially in this time of the pandemic, when so many people have had life-changing conditions to deal with and huge change in their jobs and their living environments, and it's very hard to measure their value in these times. Anyway, so I say you've got to feel it to heal it. Okay, and this is like really, really important. Now we're going to get on to the lovely stuff, and we're going to get on to talking about and having a lesson actually how you can actually create your value and how to do it and how to recognize if you're not being valued. But first of all, we've really kind of got to realize that we're all the same, but we're all different. And what I mean by that is, you know, all of us are incredibly unique. We all hold some knowledge or some way of being to come into this world to do something wonderful. But at the same time, we are all the same. We all hurt. We can all laugh. We all cry. We empathize in different ways. And being human is amazing because in the world, it's one human. It's not billions of human. It's one human with 1 billion or more, billions and billions, and soon to be trillions the way it's going, of difference, of amazing creativity. So now when I say feel it to heal it, this is like so important, because a lot of people try to actually get distracted from their emotions. Could be with drugs, alcohol, sex, drugs, rock and roll, shopping, whatever that could be, instead of actually feeling the feeling. And the thing is, feelings are not going to go away, and sometimes feelings are not always right. Okay, and this is why you have to feel it to heal it. So the next time you have any kind of feelings, whether they're joyous or really quite depressing or sad, you really have to just tune into that and ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Why, and where did the feeling come from? Now, the thing is, when you do this and you face your feelings and you really look at them and you start to understand and nurture them, then everything will change for you. But if you try to bottle up your feelings, they are incredible. They'll come out in all sorts of places, and sometimes people snap, and sometimes people snap, bark, can be quite reactive. And actually, when you listen to them and have a really good talk, it's actually got nothing to do with what they snapped about, something else. And you might say to me, Daphne, what are you talking about? This has got nothing to do with branding. This has everything to do with branding, because branding is emotional. The thing is, even kind of doing a book design and somebody looking at their book, it's triggering emotions. When you're selling something, if you're not in good condition and you don't know what you're selling, you're not going to sell anything. And it all comes from the emotions, and it all comes down to your feeling of your value and understanding what that is. And in this day and age, we have so many confusing messages, that this is why I've chosen to talk about this today, because I really want to help clarify, value your value. Okay, so if we just remove the slides, and I'm just going to talk to you now. So what is value anyway? Values can be interpreted in many ways. They can be interpreted as feelings like, they like me, they love me, they show up for me, they care about me. I care about you, you care about me, you're valuable, it's precious. But that's not really it. There's so much more. The thing is, it's about what is a value exchange. Now, in Brand Clever, which is my methodology I've created and written a book. I have written a book. It's not published yet, but that will get out. It's coming soon. I'm too busy actually creating brands and value for a minute and loving every one of them. So your brand promise is your value exchange. What do you actually bring, and what do you get back for bringing it? And this is like so simple, but you would think that simple things in life would be so easy, but they're actually not. And there are a lot of people doing great things and they're not getting paid. A lot of businesses are hobby businesses where it costs people their life force, their time, their money, other resources, and even kind of can put a strain on family and friends, even their health. And it's a hobby, and they are not getting a value exchange. And this is why I'm talking about it today, because people have to stop this, because if you don't, it's not fulfilling. It doesn't go anywhere good. It doesn't end well. You might have lessons and you might have a nice time and you might fool yourself, but you have to look into those deep emotions inside and ask yourself this: whatever you are doing now for your business, whatever what you are doing in your relationships, is there a value exchange? And some people will be in relationships and they will say, those relationships are toxic, they're awful. They actually are not checking out what they're doing. They could be the one that's causing the toxicity and the problems. So none of it is bad. It's just about starting to raise your awareness. Okay, so I'm going to start working with an idea of, perhaps you've got a business already and perhaps it's making some money, but not very much money. And perhaps money isn't everything to you, and it's more about service, but this is so important to get your balance right. So there has to be a really healthy balance in business and relationships. It has to be a value exchange. Nobody is in it for just one-way loving. One-way loving is okay for a minute, but then it's not sustainable. So we're getting back to this value exchange again. So it's a good idea to start from yourself, always yourself, and not to project what you want or what you wish on somebody else. Like, well, he has to do that for me. She should give this to me. And actually, it's really interesting to see how some people behave when there are some very successful people out there. Perhaps they're amazing coaches, perhaps they're amazing designers, coaches, perhaps they've got lovely restaurants, great marketing businesses, great TV shows, whatever it is. And other people just think, well, I need a leg up and I need to grow. So I can come and you can do all these things for me and I don't have to pay you because you're successful and I'm not yet. That's not right, because successful people always have to work hard. They worked hard. They didn't get there just by smiling, being friendly. They had to work really, really hard to create their value. So this is really important. First of all, check out yourself. Are you actually showing up by giving a value exchange? Can you offer a value exchange? And it can be so simple, like, if you are selling shoes, yeah, you're selling shoes. How much are those shoes? Are you going to sell those shoes at an inflated price? Are you going to sell those shoes at a fair price? Does anybody even want these shoes? But it's important that everything behind what you do, you think it out. And this is what I call getting your ducks in a row. And this is so important. So before you go out into the world, demanding your value, which is okay to do sometimes, but you need to prepare for it. You have to really make sure that whatever you're offering is a clear message, useful, and wanted. And the thing is, sometimes people show up and they're selling things or they're being a certain way. And it's not that what they have is wrong. It's just it's the wrong crowd. It's the wrong audience. Okay. So just say that you make miniature buses or miniature trams. In fact, I know somebody that's absolutely amazing guy. He's very unique. There's only one of him, but he's absolutely in love with trams. He's English, so there's not many places where we have trams in England. That's more of a European thing. But if I said to him, there's a website and you can get miniature trams and, or you can go on a tram holiday, he would be the first one to sign up. He'd get 3 jobs just to earn all the money so he could do it because he's interested in it. Now, that's a very unique example. Like, who would be really interested in trams? But there are people out there. So whatever it is your love of doing and what you're good at, you've really got to find that audience to get your value. The next thing, and I have said this before, don't confuse your audience. And lots of people do. They've got really fuzzy messaging. It's not clear. They've got no calls to action. They've got no project management behind what they're doing. Okay. Now, value your value is a really deep subject, and every week the subjects I talk about always say, well, I could write a book just on that one, which is really, really true. So, I do invite you all, if you have any questions, to email me or send a little message in now if you've got something, or message me on Facebook with your questions, and I will do my best to answer them. So the thing is, where it's important to really check out your values is that you actually the first step is to value yourself. So that means self-care, self-nurture, sleep, food, nutrition. And we've got the lovely Red coming up in a little while, who's going to tell you all about nutrition and living longer and all those wonderful things. But the thing is, if you don't love yourself, if you don't care for yourself, if you don't nurture yourself, if you don't educate yourself, if you don't grow, then your value isn't going to grow. It all starts with you. how you show up. And in success, 50% of it is showing up, but show up good and show up prepared. Now, another thing about value too is preparation. So if you do not prepare your list of what you're going to, the products and services you're going to sell, how much they're for, and write a wonderful description of features and benefits, but not talk about yourself, but talk about your clients, you have to be prepared like that so you'll be ready for a value exchange. So that's on a very simple level. But if we take it up a little bit and we get a little bit more complex and just say that you are in a relationship and you are feeling that you are not valued, perhaps you feel that everyone's taking advantage of you, perhaps you feel that you're not heard, all of those things, you have to start with, first of all, not taking anything personally and start asking questions. And make up your mind to be successful and to be valued, and then start doing things for yourself that you would like other people to do for you. Yeah, because it doesn't work that we sit there and everybody's mind readers and, you know, they're expected to do stuff. It's our responsibility. Our life is our responsibility. And also imagine this, if everybody took care of themselves the best they could with the best things that they have, the world would be a much better place right now. It's like, this is something that people seem to forget. And it's also very human, where we can be very reactive to other people's moods, emotions, situations. Yeah. Now, when you're going into these, when you're in relationships and say you're not feeling valued, you have to make sure that whatever you're thinking is true. So it's not a good idea to go up to someone and accuse them of, you're not valuing me because, you know, you make food for yourself and you don't make any for me. Yeah, you buy, you spend all the money, I earn the money too, and you keep it from me. Whatever the scenarios are, there's amazing scenarios out there. It's about, first of all, really evaluating what value is to you, and it starts with you. And the thing is, I'd like to remind you all how powerful you are. You know, if you make your mind up in your head that you're going to do something and change something, and you organize yourself to do it, and you start one step at a time every day, 3 weeks later, so much will change, and you won't even have to have a conversation with anyone. And this is the power of, you know, valuing your value. Anyway, I'd like to go on to the next slide now, if I may. So now, there's a lot to do with value that links together with worthiness or feeling worthy. And some people say, oh, I feel I have imposter syndrome. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if that's me. I don't know if I can carry that brand. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I want to be good enough. I don't know, all these things. But being your worth and your self-worth is so important. Everybody is worth just everything. And that's where you have to start. And if you ever have feelings of unworthy feelings or feelings that are not positive, you have to really kind of work on your state and work on your state of mind to actually prove yourself wrong on that one. And the thing is, when you actually feel enough and you know you're enough, it also changes everything. So the thing is, today's lesson then is not so much about kind of business tips. It's more about going within and really nurturing your self-esteem, and also accessing knowledge to actually create a better you. So you see, this is in line with Dr. Jacalyn's show, Be a Better You. Anyway, one little note that I just want to read to you before I close is, this is what a little note I wrote to you this morning, everybody. So, dear wonderful person, that's you. Yeah, it's time. It's your time to know your real value. So just feel that now. Your real value is absolutely Wonderful. Next little sentence. Value your value. You are a unique and special person, and there is no one like you. That's true. No one like you. No one has your fingerprints. No one has eyes like you. No one is like you. So the next question is, you have a way of being and doing like no other. Now, if you don't believe me, just be a detective and watch other people and start to ask people, what's unique about me? What are my funny little ways? What are my talents? And start communicating. Please don't text people. There's too much of that going on. Talk to anyone that you can about this. Make new friends. It's so important, that human connection. And then lastly, my question I have for you all, who do you know that you can collaborate with to grow your value and theirs? And I want you to think about this too, because when you find great partnerships, great collaborations, and you start working together and you do a value exchange, it's incredible what you can achieve. And that is it for today. So thank you for listening.
Well done. Well done. Thank you so much, Daphne. Always learning from you and inspired by you. I want to have a little chat when we get back, but we're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. So stay with us and we will be back shortly.
Have you just lost your job or have been laid off and you are looking to transition to a new job or career? Maybe you have even tried submitting tons of applications and yet you keep getting turned down for jobs you qualify for. Don't wait until you become overwhelmed with rejections when you can easily transition or get your dream job. Let MJW Careers guide you to the right career path and a better, brighter future. At MJW Careers, we know what hiring managers are looking for, and our goal is to land you the job you deserve. What makes MJW Careers a wonderful provider over other services is our pragmatic and scientific approach to resume writing. There are rules, there are visual cues, there are content best practices. We understand those and work within the boundaries to ensure our clients' messaging appeals to the decision makers. Our career consultants will help you transition into new roles quickly and effectively. With our experience in virtually every industry, we will provide direction in the frustrating job market by helping you write a customized, professional resume and prepare you for your interview as well. Join the great number of people we have helped scale up to greater things in their careers. Let us help you on your career journey. Come visit us, www.jobstickers.com, to learn more and grab a free resume review or ebook.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation started.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can get through a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best. I always get this one wrong. Coaches and consultants. My team members, Daphne Diluce and Red O'Loughlin, are here. And in our first segment, Daphne gave us a fantastic presentation on Value Your Value with some beautiful slides, by the way, really eye-catching and thought-provoking.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Red, let's share a little bit of our takeaways from Daphne's presentation, and I'll start with you, whatever you want to share.
Okay, let me just start out with the presentation itself. Daphne obviously is a very professional speaker. The pace was perfect. Pauses were very, very good. The volume I thought was excellent. Her ability to transition from one slide to the next one very, very nicely. She introduced key questions when it was necessary in there. And I kind of evaluate her as between a professorial style in giving the information out to a storyteller when the story needs to be told. And that's kind of a really good combination to have. Her slides were easy to read, nice coloring. But the whole purpose of her slides, at least on the second one, a lot of people can talk about emotions, but when you see the emotion, it really means a lot more to you. And then she transitioned that into, well, what does that really have to do with the brand? And she talked about, well, everybody's the same and everyone's different. But when you connect on that little connection where we are the same, where we have that emotional connection to somebody, then we're starting to make progress. And so when she says, okay, well, you have these feelings, let's take it a step further. Why not understand why you have those feelings? And when you start getting stressed, it affects your health, mentally, physically. But when she starts talking about these things, you're getting that very first step of awareness into what you need to do to make the changes. And when she's talking about the branding of how you connect with others and how you take that, the ability not only to add value from yourself, but you're helping other people with their value, then you have that value exchange that she used, a term that I'm not familiar with. First time I heard it today, and I think it's very good. But she was exceptionally good in clarifying the terms she used, and I thought it was an exceptionally good presentation.
Wow, I'm so happy. Thank you. I didn't expect. I'm like, wow, thank you, Red. That's very, very amazing. Also, that feedback says so much about you, because you're obviously a seer, you're obviously very experienced, you're very knowing, and you're also a very wonderful listener, as is Dr. Jacalyn. So I say thank you so much, a hearty thanks, because all of us creatives, when we're doing these things, we never know how it's going to land, but today I was so deeply moved by how difficult it is for so many people. That's why I wanted to connect with something real that's going on, not just give a whole load of glossy branding hype, which can be fun. But it's not where it's at, is it?
Yeah, we have a lot of ways of connecting. We can do it with our hands. A lot of really experienced people can do it with their facial expressions. I noticed that one of the techniques you use a lot is when something's really important, you just lean forward, not much, but just enough that people notice it and they hear that, and then you go back into normal. So you're actually amplifying that point you want to make, and that's a very, very good technique to use.
Well, thank you. It's purely natural. I didn't realize I was doing it.
Did we mention that Red is a distinguished Toastmaster? So he is at the highest level of presentations and accolades. So I feel like a proud mother right now. I feel like two children are coming together. It's just beautiful.
Oh, that's so lovely. Well, I would like to share with everyone. I actually did join Toastmasters by accident, which was absolutely wonderful, because I actually went to support a lady. She had this idea. So I thought, she was a bit nervous about going to Toastmasters. Anyway, then I went into the room, and one guy put this camera in my hand and said, "Oh, take some photos." That's my thing. That's one of my big things, photography. So I was like up close and personal. I was taking everybody, and like the brand look and thing. So I sent off the email to all the club members. Anyway, they wouldn't stop emailing. They insisted I had to go back to take photos. But what happened, my partner Stephen says, if you go to the barbers and you live in the barbers, you'll end up having a haircut. I love that. So of course I ended up speaking. But you know what was absolutely fabulous? Toastmasters is such a wonderful thing because it gives you so much education and structure, and then you get to practice things which you don't realize. But I had fun because I became different avatars. So I did some talks as a serious businesswoman. I gave some talks as a rock chick. I gave some talks like something like glamorous, like Marilyn Monroe. I had like all the jewels on and fur and an evening gown. And the audience was great because they were all Toastmasters and they were such a loving, wonderful, supportive bunch. So it warms my heart, Red. Thank you for that feedback.
We do have some comments that I want to share from Amara Raja. I hope I'm saying your name right. We really appreciate your engagement with the show. Finding right audience who have the capability and need to get value. This was first, actually. Complete sense, catering, emotions, well highlighted. Excellent. All magic happens at self-improvement. In commercial world, it would be company appraisal and restructuring / rebranding. And at Red, precise analysis. So well done. And thank you, Amar Raja. We are very happy that you are watching the show and giving us your feedback.
Yes, thank you, Amir. That is wonderful. And those are very higher mind, highly intelligent comments. So I'm actually quite humbled this afternoon. Thank you.
We also have another comment from C&E Developments, #building expert. Great content, Daphne, and wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching and engaging C&E Developments, #building expert. Mr. Red O'Laughlin, how do you feel? Are you ready to go? Or would you like us to take a break? We also have another comment. Great feedback, Red.
Thank you. I'm flexible as ever. If you need a commercial break, let's do it. If not, we'll go straight into it. I'm always ready.
I know that about you, so we're going to go right into it, Red. Okay, here we go. Red, do you have anything to share, a deck or anything? Or are you without any?
No,
do you need it? Okay, excellent.
Off the cuff.
All right, Daphne, you and I are going to go backstage. Red, have a great presentation.
Thank you so very much. Longevity. That's one of those things that, as I mentioned earlier, we'd all like to have a nice, healthy, long life, but we don't really want to have a bad quality of life. And by that, I mean somebody having to take care of you all the time, the last year, 2 years, 5 years or more. And if somebody were to ask you what causes aging, what would you be able to tell them? We all know a lot of things, but when you get down to the cellular level, what is the real cause of aging? And I wrote a book on this, and the two causes that I came up with that I like and I talk about are human growth hormone and telomere length. And I'll go into a little bit of detail about each one of those. We all produce human growth hormone. As kids, we're producing maybe 1,000, 2,000 milligrams of human growth hormone, probably up a day up till about the age of about 5 or 6 or so. Then you get into our teens and that cuts off, probably 60%. We get into our 40s and 50s, now we're down less than 10%. We get into our 70s, 80s, and I mean, now we're just minuscule levels. But there are natural ways to increase that. But when we don't increase it, when it's just sitting there at 100 milligrams a day or less, there's nobody in control anymore. The human growth hormone was the controller for our lives. It was the one thing that kept everything going in the right way, because as a baby, as a toddler, as a child, we're learning how to speak, learning how to walk, run, think, talk. that human growth hormone was controlling our body's growth. But if we want to maintain it, we need to have nutritional balance. We need to have a number of things in there: stress management, rest, exercise, those kinds of things. But when we do things by ignoring our nutrient balance, our hormones imbalanced, where we have a little excess fat, we start to age, we look like it, our inflammation levels are up, sugar levels, toxins. I mean, there's just a whole lot more you can talk about. So you want to increase the human growth hormone, but you also want to do the things that are not going to bring it down. I personally do fasting on a daily basis. 18 hours a day. I do a 72-hour fast every month. And one of the things I do as part of that 72-hour fast, it's for my immune system. But every time you fast for at least 12 hours, 15 hours, 24 hours, you're building up human growth hormone in your body almost exponentially. But the key part that I'm going to get to a little bit later on today is about inflammation. If we can control the inflammation, that is a major step forward. Let's talk a little bit about telomeres. Telomere is the very tip end of your DNA. The DNA is kind of a helix that wraps around itself. And at the very end, it's tied together. Every time that cell replicates, divides in half, you lose just a little bit. And so as the cell divides and divides and divides and divides, you're losing a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But in reality, depending on what your lifestyle is, instead of losing a little bit, you might lose a little bit more. When I'm giving a presentation, I usually have a roll of pennies, and I said, normally a cell is just going to lose 1 penny. But what if you're a smoker? What if you're obese? What a lot of things that are just not healthy for you, then maybe you're losing 2 pennies or 3 pennies every time that cell replicates. So it shortens your lifespan significantly. So you're looking at nutritional balance, exercise, stress management, the standard things, toxin avoid. Those are the things that we should be doing normally. But as our hormones get imbalanced, our nutrition is interrupted, depression, mental toxins, smoking, just all those kind of things, they cause the telomeres just to fall off at a greater level. Let me concentrate on one thing today, and that's inflammation. Inflammation of the body at the cellular level is what causes 99% of every disease. And when we start looking at what causes that inflammation, well, it's the foods we eat, it's our metabolism, it's thinking, it's digesting, it's exercising, it's the toxins we bring into our system. And there's only one way to cure that, and that's with antioxidants. Now, one of the stories I love to tell is about Dr. Terry Walls. She wrote a book called The Walls Protocol. And Dr. Walls is an internist. Very late in life, she came down with multiple sclerosis. And no matter what the doctors did, it kept getting worse. And over time, she ended up in a wheelchair. She put her focus into studying autoimmune diseases, of which MS is one of those. And as such, she found out that there's 4 things: your diet, the foods you choose, excuse me, 1 second. There's 4 things: exercise, stress management, toxin avoidal, and nutritional balance. Those are the 4 things that we need in order to be able to truly have our bodies optimally right. So after about 4 years in a wheelchair, she said, I'm going to put myself on my own protocol. And when she did that, after 4 years in a wheelchair and all the drugs and all the protocols that everyone else had done, she was able to get out of a wheelchair and walk using a walker. A month later, she was able to walk using a cane. By the end of the year, she was bicycling 18 miles a day. These are things you can do. I said, that's kind of really interesting from a longevity perspective. That has to have an impact. Well, my wife was suffering through a breast cancer. No matter what I did during her chemo treatments, I could not attack the fatigue any way, shape, or form. She was taking 1 or 2 2-hour naps a day, and no matter what I did, I couldn't change it. On day 1 of radiation, I put her on the Walls protocol, diet only. Within 72 hours, her fatigue was gone, absolutely gone. Within a week, she was volunteering back up at the church. In fact, she probably 2 or 3 years before she took another nap. On the last day of the radiation treatment, we left Houston, Texas, and drove to Jacksonville, Florida, about 1,000 miles. I rented a U-Haul to bring back my parents' estate stuff. And my wife followed me by herself, 500 miles in the car by alone. And that was 48 hours after her last radiation treatment, which the radiologist said her fatigue would probably get worse. So diet is such an important thing. So when you look at Wall's protocol, that's ideal, and some people can do it, but most of us don't. But if we can balance our nutrition on our daily input every single day of about 30, 32 nutrients the body needs, then we're going to have a nice, long, healthy life because we're fighting the anti-aging issues. We're fighting those diseases at the end of our life that walk in the door and take over. But there's some things we can do. Let's assume that you do have a good, healthy diet. What else can you do to help fight that inflammation and make things just a whole lot better for you? Well, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Indian food curry. A lot of it's made up from curcumin, turmeric, and the things I'm talking about here, there's 5 of them, are inflammation fighters. And if you can keep that inflammation at the cellular level down to 0, and that's an easy thing to do, by the way, then you're probably not going to worry about any disease because it has to get from the cells somewhere else. Now, obviously, you can come down with COVID or something like that. There are a lot of things that can happen to us. But if we're taking care of ourselves, and we should be taking care of ourselves, you want to start at the cellular level. If we can increase the ability of the antioxidants we're taking, if you're just taking vitamin C every day, well, that's 1 out of dozens that are in there, because every single free radical that's in the body that's disrupting our health, they all have different molecular shapes, and not every antioxidant fits the shape of the free radical that's causing the problem. So you need to vary the greens, the colored vegetables, the sulfur-laden vegetables, the proteins, the enzyme. I mean, just a lot of different things in there. One of them, curcumin, is one that is easy to get, relatively inexpensive, and increases the antioxidant capacity immensely on the cellular level. But if you're buying it, look for a word on the label that says piperine, Piperine, piperine. It's a black pepper extract. Curcumin by itself is not very bioavailable. Add a little bit of black pepper to it, and my God, it just goes crazy. And so those are the things that you need to know, that if you're going to buy a supplement, buy the ones that have the right things in it. I'll be talking a minute or two about resveratrol. Again, one with piperine really enhances the bioavailability of that particular supplement. But curcumin does several other things. We have a thing in our brain called BDNF, and it's when we have it, we increase our depression, so we need to kind of reduce it a lot. But curcumin helps increase BDNF, so we were not worried about the mental health issues associated with some things. It reduces the risk of heart disease. But one of the things that I really like about it, probably more than almost anything else, is I was in a MLM opportunity 15 years ago, and one of the components of the mangosteen fruit is called a xanthone. It's about 42 of them in there. But one of them in particular is called gamma mangosteen. And that gamma mangosteen goes down to the cellular level. And in our bodies, we have 2 enzymes that are critical to our health. One is called COX-1, cyclooxygenase 1, and the other one, cyclooxygenase 2. Well, cyclooxygenase 1, COX-1, is in our body. It protects our stomach. It does a lot of good things for us. But if we end up in some kind of traumatic event, let's say that, okay, for instance, several years ago, I'm closing the door, I'm not paying attention, I'm talking to somebody, and I slam the door on my fingers of the door frame. And I went inside, grabbed a couple glasses of the juice that I had. But what happened to my knuckles, where I had the door and I was slamming them in there, that's a trauma that causes immediate release of the COX-2 enzyme. It responds to injury, wear out, in other words, you have arthritis, all that stuff that inflames, swelling, pain, redness, soreness, heat, all that's because of the COX-2 enzyme. And that's part of the protective mechanism. You swell up so that bad things can't get in there and cause more inflammation. But if you can remove that inflammation, remove the swelling, and allow the body to heal itself quicker, then you've accumulated a lot. Well, it turns out that when I was taking the mangosteen part, I would go in, part of my normal annual physical every year is to get a C-reactive protein test. It's a blood test. It tells you how much inflammation you have in the body. It won't tell you where, but it'll tell you how much. Year after year after year, and this has been going on now well over a dozen years, I have literally almost 0. I mean, like when it's measurable, it's like 0.25. But anything over about 3 or 5, it's it's something you need to worry about. So you keep that inflammation down to the lowest level possible, and you generally don't have a problem. The next supplement I want to talk about is epigallocalcium. Let's call it EGCG for short, because it is a long word. But it's not the primary, it's one of many catechins in green tea. And green tea provides us that, but so does some berries and peaches and apples and avocados and some nuts. But this is such a great inflammatory fighter. It has so many things, and gene regulation, heart health, brain health. But the one thing I like about it probably more than anything else is some studies they did with laboratory animals. They gave them this EGCG, and they also induced into the animals the Alzheimer's gene that caused them to actually get Alzheimer's. Well, when you look at one of the causes of Alzheimer's, it's a beta amyloid plaque. And that protein, the plaque that's formed from multiple proteins, actually fits on the end of a neuron, almost like a glove. Well, in the presence of EGCG, it changes the molecular structure of the beta amyloid protein just enough so that it falls off. It can't stay on the end of the neuron. So you end up with a corrective and a preventive option to take care of one aspect of Alzheimer's. But they also noticed when they did through an MRI that the neurons they thought were dead actually came back to life, or they were replaced by new ones. And so that was really a major benefit. I take 6 different teas a day and I mix them, and they're all for longevity, and one of them of which is green tea. The third one that I want to talk about, if I get my fingers up there right, is CoQ10, also called ubiquinone or ubiquinol. 10 years ago, you almost couldn't find ubiquinol, but our bodies take this CoQ10 and we could use it as a supplement. You usually see it as ubiquinone, and it converts, it's used in literally every single cell in our body. And as we get older, we make less and less. So that's another reason to supplement it. We find it in meat, fish, and some nuts, but it's a great reliever of oxidative stress, cellular health, heart health. But when sometimes we're put on statin drugs, our bodies produce CoQ10, ubiquinol, but the statin drugs shut down the body's production of it. That's what they think is one of the benefits. That's a whole nother discussion one of these days. But why take something that's shutting down something our body makes? Because that's the way that particular drug works. We need that in every cell, but we're actually taking a medicine, a drug, to shut it down, so we're not doing it. So we need a way of increasing it. So if you're on a statin drug, you really need to talk to your doctor, seriously talk to your doctor about supplementing with ubiquinol. Now, ubiquinone is most of the supplements. If you go into a store and you see this one's $10 and this one's $30, buy the $30 one. Why? Because ubiquinone probably only gets into the body at about a 10 or 15% level on a good day. If you want to have something that's really supercharged, the ubiquinol is what actually gets converted in the body, and that's what we use. So why not start with everything that the body uses to begin with? And the 3 times the price is very well worth it. I mentioned a minute ago about resveratrol. We're familiar with it from red wine, but it's also from grapes and blueberries and even dark chocolate. But it activates what's called sirtuins, and these things help in so many different ways. They fight the inflammation, help with stress resistance, fat and glucose metabolism, helps in detoxification, circadian rhythms. I mean, it can go on and on and on. There's just a lot of good things about resveratrol. Again, you need it when it contains the black pepper extract, piperine. So if you're looking at the label, that's what you need to have. You're not going to be able to add enough black pepper to your red coffee, or red wine to make a difference. But you can add it if you're buying turmeric, and I do. You peel the skin, you chop it up, you put in, add a lot of black pepper, so you can actually make your own. But on the resveratrol, sometimes a supplement makes the best sense because that you can measure exactly what you're getting. The last one I like, and because I used to be a chemist in an earlier, very short period of time, is pyrroloquinone. I call it PQQ. That's a very long word, but it's found in spinach and green bell peppers and green tea and dark chocolate also. It's an amazing chemical because it passes through the blood-brain barrier, which most things cannot do. Now, we hear things about vitamin C, and most people don't know that vitamin C as an antioxidant can actually be regenerated 6 times. So you get 1 molecule and you can make 6 molecules out of it in the body. Well, PQQ can be regenerated 25,000 times. So you get 1 molecule into the brain, and it's literally an army of 25,000 fighting inflammation in the brain. It also fights ischemic heart attacks in the heart. It improves insulin sensitivity, cellular aging. It's an amazing chemical. It's there. I mean, but how many of us eat green bell peppers and parsley? Not many. Some of us have indulge ourselves with the dark chocolate, but it's one of those supplements that if we're having a nice balanced meal, sometimes maybe we need a little bit extra. And curcumin, EGCG, CoQ10, resveratrol, and PQQ are the 5 things that I think a normal healthy person can absolutely improve their longevity, fight aging, and just make their life a total quality of life that they can just enjoy it on and on and on and on. And from that, Dr. Jacalyn, I'm turning it back over to you.
Wow, I feel like I just took a college course. It's amazing. I'm taking all of these notes. I've got a lot of comments that I want to share. We do have something from our new friend. We love you, Amar Raja. Thanks, Jacalyn, Daphne, Red, for doing a great show. Well, thank you for being here and for engaging with our program. We really love it. Daphne, I'm going to just defer to you. Do you have any comments that you want to share with Red?
Absolutely. I think you've just saved so many lives just now. And I think that you've given, and I know that you have the capacity to give so much hope and to empower people. Because this is a really important subject, actually, how to understand how your body works. There's just not enough of it. So I like 1,000,000% for this, for the knowledge that you've imparted. And I really would like to know more about how to get an inflammation test, because a lot of people suffer from inflammation and don't even realize it. They don't even realize that it's something that's where all the illness starts. So I would like to know more. So my question to you is, well, there's so many questions, but I'm going to keep it a relative to audience, what everyone else would probably want to know. But there's one cheeky question I'd just like to ask you first. How do you remember such long names? That's a pattern in itself. That's like, I mean, how does he remember that name? He doesn't kind of read it, and you just know it. That's amazing.
I've been blessed with a very good memory. It's just things come naturally. I can remember if I read something in the book, it's on that page about 2/3 of the way down. And when I'm going, okay, there it is. There's something, I can't remember a face. If I saw you tomorrow in the grocery store, I would not say, "Hey, Daphne." But if you had a chemical compound that I read on the back, okay, I need to go home and look that one up. There's some things that, as you say, we're all similar, we're all different. One of those things that I hone in on is chemicals, because it's just one of, unfortunately I wasn't able to become a chemist. I came back from Vietnam and too many other things going on. I wasn't able to get into that. I ended up in quality assurance, reliability engineering, and logistics engineering for another 20 plus years. And then I finished with that, spent 30 some years in the military, in the reserves. And then after everything was over, went back to work in the oil field. And then all of a sudden I walked in one day and they said, "Hey, you need to retire." I said, yeah, seriously, you're going to retire today. Well, they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. And since then, I started out in self-improvement, motivation, wrote a couple of books in that area. And then I got into, with my wife's chemo and radiation and everything, I started looking into it. And I said, "Oh, I can practice my chemistry again. I love this stuff." And that's what I do every single day. I spend at least 90 minutes a day researching and writing something that I think will add value to people's lives.
Well, this chemical gene, your brain and your brilliance, that's your thing. Mm-hmm. That's definitely your thing. And the way that you talk about it. And this is what really excites me with people and branding, is because when they talk about their thing, they totally light up and then they become magnetic. And as you were listening, I was thinking, "Oh God, I can't even write that down. I need this. Oh my gosh." And I didn't want to break away from listening to you, because you're so authentic. So absolutely fantastic. My comments are, this is absolutely, another thing I was thinking, it's like why aren't we teaching these things to our kids? Why don't we learn these things at school instead of, I don't know, what they teach you at school? But no, it's such powerful knowledge. So how can people find out more? Do you work with people? Do we have to write your books? Where do we get and another question, and I think this is very valuable for everyone, so I'm asking the question on behalf of the universe and the world. How do we know what supplements are of good quality? Because you can get supplements everywhere, but how do you know what's in them, and how do you know what's the best thing to get?
Right. Is it just by price? Because you would mention if there's a $30 or $10. Good question, Daphne.
No, part of it, as you mentioned earlier, awareness. You have to take that first step up. Read labels. And as you start reading labels, understanding what's on there. For instance, a multivitamin may say it contains vitamin E. Well, there's 8 different components to vitamin E, and they're giving you one synthetic, which is of no value at all. Vitamin B12 is a cobalamin. Well, what they give you is cyanocobalamin, which is absolutely worthless in the human body. You might as well just throw it in the toilet rather than take it. But what you need is methylcobalamin, which dissolves under the tongue. So if you're not taking that particular one under the tongue, then you're not getting the benefit, because that goes right straight into the bloodstream, because the other one goes into the stomach acid, and the cobalamin is destroyed by stomach acid. It's an awareness process. I talk about it a lot. I have a couple of books on aging. RedO'Laughlin.com is my website without the apostrophe. So just Red O'Laughlin, RedO'Laughlin.com. And I have my books there, and I have, like I say, probably about 1,100 blogs there that I've written. And you can find a lot of stuff. But every single day I try to add more to that. And but it's just something I have a little bit of a passion for. I love it.
Well, it's a big passion. You know what I'm thinking? I can see a whole new brand thing going on where people will come on Zoom, and then you can teach people, like just on the vitamin E or whatever. Teach people small things so it empowers them. Anyway, I look forward to be faithful students, and I look forward to longevity of life.
Okay, you asked a question earlier. There's 3 tests that I do with my doctor every year. I add on to everything else he does. C-reactive protein is one. When we start having inflammation, our body makes it. You don't want to have any. So you want it as low as you possibly can. But the letter C, reactive protein. Homocysteine used to be the gold standard for heart health. But I get that one nowadays, and it gives you a real good sense of how healthy your heart is. And the last one I get is a vitamin D3. And that's something that we should be sitting there somewhere in the 50 to 80 range. The last one I had was 108 nanograms per milliliter. But it's something that really and truly enhances your health as you get older. It's just, those are the 3 that are typically not there, but I think add the most value to me, that I want to know what's going on. And it's just one, my insurance company pays for it. But even if you had to pay for it out of your pocket, they're not expensive tests. And you can actually go down to a lot of local labs, have them run yourself. And whether you show the results to your doctor or not, that's up to you. But it's a good way to keep track of your health on an annual basis. And if you see something starting to go awry, maybe you want to take it on your own. You change your lifestyle, exercise more, reduce your toxins, just a lot of things you can do. And then maybe 3 months you go back in and have the test run again. I'm improving. That positive reinforcement gives you that stamina, that endurance to go further. And that's one of those things that I look for.
That's wonderful. And not only that, the thing is, when you do something like that, and whether it's emotion you find that needs looking after, or your body, you're coming back to kind of self-nurture, in that minute you might think, I feel weak, or I feel tired, or I don't like that feeling. But this is opportunity. So many people, they can, I don't know, not be here because they didn't have opportunity to change. And that's what we all have every day.
One thing I want to share, I've spent most of my life with inflammation. And I'm sure people who watch are aware. So I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, 16 inches of bleeding ulcers in my colon, facial eczema, and scalp psoriasis. And believe it or not, I really never paid attention to my diet, which is why I think I've been sick for most of my life. Like usually 6 months out of every year I'm sick. And during this pandemic, I really did start focusing on my diet and meeting Red and hearing about your fasting and eating food that only fits on a salad plate. I mean, you have a lot of great tips. And I have to say, it's amazing, but I am in remission for all 3 of the diseases I have. And I've had high blood pressure since my dad died in 2012, like extremely high. I was on 2 medications, and now I don't have high blood pressure anymore. And it's all since the pandemic. So there is something to be said about what you are putting inside your body. And you taught me some things here that I didn't even know. I did look up Dr. Terry Wall's diet, and I looked up some of these supplements that you mentioned. I wrote them down. I'm going to be purchasing them. So I think that was a brilliant presentation, helpful for everybody. We do have some comments from our new friend. Very informative and profound, Red. Something new, antioxidant capacity and inflammatory level. Fasting, stress management, exercise, diet, nutrition management, and supplements. And a follow-up. Great show. Thoroughly enjoyed. There it is. You two are brilliant. Thank you so much, Amar. I am just, as I said in the beginning, I'm just so proud of both of you. And I'm just so grateful that you're on my team and that you're bringing all this light into the world.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for having us. I really and truly enjoyed it. Nice meeting you, Daphne. Look forward to connecting again.
Oh, we will. We've got stuff to do.
Red, I'm going to spotlight you. I added your website to the banner, but just let people know where they can reach you and how they can buy your books.
The easiest way to reach me is call me on the phone. I'm kind of old-fashioned that way. If you text me, I may not see it for hours at a time, maybe not even until late at night when I'm going to bed. But 281-687-1188. 281-687-1188. That's the easiest way to reach me. If you want to know something about me, I'm in Amazon, but redolaughlin.com. I have access to my books there with links. RED, like the color red, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN, Red O'Laughlin, REDOLAUGHLIN.com.
Thank you, Red. And I just want to share with everyone that Red is my book coach. And you can't see it because of the thing. I'll do the this.
The green screen. The
green screen. I can't do it because. So we were able to have this book written because of he takes a unique approach writing with new authors. And we started in February, Red, and the book was published May 22nd. And then I have to just hit the #1 bestseller June the 4th. So you need to work with this man. If you're a new author, you've got to contact him. Daphne, I'm going to spotlight you and show your banner. What's the best way to reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is email me, which is my name. It's easy, Daphne@DaphneDiluce.com. And my website is the same, DaphneDiluce.com. And I'm so lucky to have such an unusual name because there's only one of me, apparently. So I'm different, but I'm the same as you. So lovely to connect with you all today, and it's been so enriching on very many levels. And actually I get to come out of my office and talk instead of just create and work for everyone else. So I've had a lovely time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Daphne. And for those that are not aware, I am partnering with Daphne and her partner, Stephen Gillen, and they are going to transform all the branding. Everything that you see is changing. And just a little plug for Stephen. This is his book, which we can see. I'm not sure why we can see this one, but not mine. The Monkey Puzzle Tree, which is being turned into a Hollywood movie. And there's a second book it hasn't been released, right, Daphne? It's you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the book thing, that is an amazing book. Also, that's one of my designs. I did that book design. I love doing book designs. Well, I like designing everything, actually. I don't like designing. But no, that is definitely one amazing book. And another book's coming as well. But the thing is, A book is a book, but a book is only good when it has life-changing knowledge in it. And that's actually such a wonderful thing that I know. That's in Stephen's books. There's so much value for people, a great value exchange. And meeting Red now with such deep stuff in his soul and his mind and his whole essence, it brings immense value. So I'm so excited to explore the things that he's doing. And as Dr. Jacalyn, amazing branding for her. She's seen some of it already. It is a lot to do though. It's a big engineering process behind it. But we're nearly done. Soon.
Yes, and we've talked about it before. As someone who is the recipient of this, what she's doing, it's like, I just want to turn the switch and get it all out there. But no, you can't. It's an actual process. There's so much that goes behind the scenes when Daphne's building a brand, and I have the utmost respect for the work that you do.
Well, thank you, and thank you for being patient, because I'm very strict. I did spend a lot of time in Germany. I was there for 18 years, and I had a big design store there, which I set up from nothing. And when you work in those very strict environments, in the beginning, it's so painful to be strict. But as you grow and develop and you become a master of what you do, it's fantastic, because then when you switch everything on, it just is seamless. It functions and people can understand it, and you're going to love it. Well, you love it already, and life becomes easier. And we get to have more of Dr. J. Yay! And wonderful kids and people, wonderful people, and we'll all be able to find them, see them, understand it instantly. Yes, it's all work in progress, but that's what we all are, aren't we? We're all work in progress. I am anyway.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. It has been such a pleasure having both of you. Thank you so much. I have another show coming up in 15 minutes. So I'm going to say goodbye to the two of you right now. I'm just so happy you connected and that you did this show together. So thank you very much.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
I'll see you later. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I was busily writing notes on pages and pages, and that's what I think is so incredible about this show, A Better You. And for those of you who are not aware, what we're actually doing is we're launching a platform July the 1st, which will be filled with playlists of lessons from fabulous people like Daphne and Red. And each of their lessons will be available for purchase. There'll be a 5-question quiz that you can take to see your understanding of the information. And then you can get certified in the fact that you passed the test. On the platform, we are having a bunch of games, a lot of gamification and fun. And we are also preparing for Journey to a Better You, which is our in-person event taking place the 2nd or 3rd week of October in either Orlando or Nashville. We've had a little delay in getting the results of the RFP that was sent out, but hopefully we'll have that information next week and we can start moving forward. But if you're on our learning platform, we're going to give you some opportunity to get some great discounts and get a lot of value for attending the event in October of 2022. So if you're a coach, consultant, trusted advisor, somebody who's in human resources, or someone who supplies to these industries, or you're just somebody who wants to learn from the best, we will be happy to have you attend our event. As I mentioned, that's going to be in 2022. We're going to start pre-selling that event in August of this year. So look forward to that. And you can actually meet the lovely Daphne and Chemist Red in person. And you can find out more about what they're doing. We're going to have book signings. It's just going to be a lot of fun, including the trade show. So please do join us. We'll look forward to that. We've got our show Fashion, Fitness, Travel, and Leisure coming up right after this. I'm going to do a quick wardrobe change and be right back. So please don't go anywhere. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.